Having turned 40 this year, I felt like it's only necessary that I give back to the youth, to the people out there in their 20s and their 30s who are trying to figure this out, who are trying to see what path should they go down, like what should they be doing? What should they be focused on? The world has changed a lot in the last 10, 20 years, and I think it's important that we start pouring back into the youth, giving people guidance. And so at 40, I want to share some of the wisdom that I wish I had when I was your age. I know people say that it's kind of cliche, but really, the only way that you're going to succeed and grow is through learning, whether that's through others, through your own experiences. And the fastest way that I've always found to learn is to learn from people who've already gone the path before me. So these 7 things that I'm going to share with you today are tried and true. They're things that I've personally implemented and used over the years and learned, some the hard way, some just by serendipity. And I want you to have that as a gift. So the first one we'll start with is number 1, and that's to document your memories. I can't tell you how many times that I've forgotten about things. I'm just like, damn, like, when was that? But the beauty of documenting, taking pictures, writing things down. I mean, I have journals scattered all throughout my home, back at home, where I grew up. And what's so beautiful about having these artifacts is that I can go back and revisit the physical manifestation of the experience and recapture that moment and feel it in my body. So I implore you to go out into the world and create experiences, document those experiences. Most of you guys probably are doing that anyway these days with your Instagrams and your tickety tocketies and your twiddly widdlies. But you got to document the experience. Number 2 is move somewhere where you didn't grow up for at least 1 year. And let me tell you why. I actually did this when I was 19. I couldn't wait to get out of my mama home. Looking back on it, I probably should have stayed and saved some money, but I don't regret the experience at all because it taught me a couple things. Number 1, self-reliance. A lot of people, especially young people today, they're having a hard time. You can say that it's economic. You can say that they can't find jobs or what have you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to take ownership of your life, and you have to be able to cook. You have to be able to clean. You have to be able to be orderly, right? And if you're always in your parents' home, if people are always taking care of you, then you never build the muscle to do those things, right? And it also taught me how to start over. Since this time I've moved, I've lived in probably like 4 different countries and 6 different cities across probably like 4 different states. And what that experience at a very young age has done is allowed me to um, start over, right? Know what that takes. It's not unfamiliar for me. I can get up and go. I'm not saying that that's what everybody should do, and that's the right thing to do. Always, you should definitely try to have roots. But when you're young, I think it's important to get out and explore, to get outside of your bubble. It's also was a forcing function for me to get to know people, to build my social skills. When you're in high school or even when you're in college, if you go to college with your friends or you grow up in a small town, you get used to being around people that look like you. You get used to speaking the same language, right? The native tongue, right? Or, just carrying yourself a certain way where when you go out in the world and you have to adapt, you have to build those social development skills is very important for you going into adulthood, going into your career, even beyond, right? Like the way that you show up in the world, your ability to walk in a room and shake someone's hand and introduce yourself can go a long way in impacting your career and the opportunities that you have. And I attribute a lot of the opportunities that I've got because I've been willing to just walk up to somebody and introduce myself and, reach out and extend a olive branch and shake their hand. So I think that's very important. Number 3 is account for the mundane. That mundane. Yeah, newsflash. I don't know if you know this. You probably already started to figure it out. But a lot of life can be mundane and joyless, especially if you're going through hard times. Especially if you don't have money or you don't feel like there's opportunities that are coming your way and you're in your head, or even if you have a job that you don't like. I mean, I've had several jobs where it's been a grind. I've worked in a bleach factory. I worked in real estate for a little bit. I used to, go and do odd jobs. I was a busboy in a restaurant. I was a server. I was a hostess. If you've ever seen the movie Waiting, it's exactly like that. That movie's hilarious, by the way. And through these experiences, if it really feels like I'm robotic, right? It's wake up, eat, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Like it was nerve wracking. It's one of the reasons why I've really put an emphasis on focusing on trying to find work that I love, because just so much of your time is spent on work or at work or commuting to work. And it can be soul crushing and feel purposeless if you don't have some other place to redirect your energy. And for me, I feel like the best way to do that is through having a project. So that could be writing a book like the ones you see behind me. That could be going out on an adventure, planning a trip with friends. That could be joining a book club. It could be going on a hike. It could be something. It doesn't matter what it is, really. It's just something that will take you out of the drudgery of the day to day and allow you to, zoom out and just appreciate what life is, right? Or giving yourself a challenge, starting a business, volunteering, right? There's so many things that it could be. I love the idea of a masogi. This is a concept that Jesse Itzler has popularized. And a masogi is this one thing that you do every year that's a life defining moment. And I love that because it anchors in that year for you. And you can be like, 2025 was the year of the marathon, or 2026 was the year I wrote my book. And every year you can look back and reflect on your life and know that, despite whatever was going on with work or your relationship or your marriage or any of the things that you were going through, you always had this thing that you could anchor into, and it would allow you to, just be proud of that accomplishment and feel like you've made measurable progress in something. My personal masogi, the one I did last year, was the Philadelphia Marathon. What's up? Going on the Rocky Steps. Marathons are hard, by the way. Anybody who says life is a marathon, I get it now. I officially get it. So, find a masogi, find something that accounts for that mundaneness of life. Number 4 here is to find a mentor. I wouldn't be the man that I am without the people who poured into me: coaches, teachers, friends, founders, my friends' parents, my mom, like my uncles, right? Like all of these people in some form or fashion were mentors to me, and I leaned on their wisdom to, in the absence of not knowing the direction that I needed to go, or in my case, not seeing the blind spots. Blind spots, by the way, are these things that subconsciously we are unaware of that follow us around, and we may be unconscious of these patterns. Maybe they're self-destructive, maybe they're bad habits, maybe it's just how we show up in the world and we're not aware of those things. And a mentor can be a person that helps guide you to help you overcome those things or bring them to light. Beyond that, I think mentors are great in business contexts or in a career context because you can look to somebody who has been down the path that you're heading down or wanting to go down and kind of lean on their wisdom to kind of like stand on the shoulders of giants. So I highly recommend mentors. I think they're great. I like to give this example. Let's say that you're in the dating world, right? Or you want to get out there and you want to find that right guy or that right gal. And you've noticed that or maybe you haven't noticed, but you're like, man, why do I keep finding myself in relationships that are crappy relationships? Or why do I end up, with these types of women or these types of men? And the reality is that, like, if you have somebody that's, you know, gone down that path, someone who's in a relationship or somebody who's married, they can give you that guidance and wisdom and maybe help you see some of the blind spots that you may not see. So very important to find a mentor. Number 5 is to over-index on generosity. I personally think generosity is heavily underrated. Most people in life are takers. They're concerned about what their needs are first. They show up to conversations and they're like, well, what can I get? They have ulterior motives. And I think one of the things that you can do in today's age to genuinely stand out is to just be generous, right? It seems like such a simple concept, but just coming from a place of generosity, abundance, right, is what we often call it in my circles. I think it goes a long way, and it doesn't cost a thing. My friend Paul Columbus, great artist, shout out to Paul Columbus artwork. He always says generosity doesn't cost you a thing. It's free and it's the most abundant gift that you have to give because it literally doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't take from you. You only add to the world, and I think that's a beautiful a way of saying it. And I can't think of a better story than a former colleague of mine who, when I worked in New York and Soho, a guy named Asaf, and he we were shooting the shit like in having drinks over in the office, right? We were working late actually. We were working late that night, and we got to talking, just chatting, and I'm just like, yo, man, what's going on, man? What you doing? And then, as I did at that time in my life, I was very curious about how people met their wife. It was something that I was genuinely interested in and wanting to eventually find my way into finding my partner. So I would ask that question. I asked him, how did he meet his wife? He went on to tell me there's this app that he got, Hinge. I'm not affiliated with them at all. They're not a sponsor. This isn't a plug, but he told me that, right? He took the time to walk me through. I downloaded it like before I left the office that night. Fast forward, one of the women I ended up going on a date with later on down the road ended up being my wife. How crazy is that? Do you think I'm ever gonna forget him? Do you think that he'll one day, just not be somebody that I'm, indebted to? If he called me right now and was like, "Hey, man, I need something," yeah, I'm picking up the phone. And it took him very little, right? So you could do the same thing. You can introduce your connections to other connections. You can help somebody get a job. You can um, if somebody's coming to your city, you give them a list of restaurants. Have a Apple Notes. This is actually a hack. Have an Apple Note of all the like top restaurants in your city, and when somebody comes to town, just shoot them over that Apple Note in a text message and say, "Hey, these are my top 3, 4, 5, whatever. You definitely should check them out." Or coffee shops, you can do that. Whatever your thing is, right? Like, do something that adds more generosity to the world because we need that right now. Number 6 is to have a life Vision. Oh my gosh. I can't even tell you. Check this out. If I pulled somebody off the street right now and I said, hey man, what's your life vision? What do you think they'd say to me? They'd probably be like, yo, I don't know what you talking about. I got to get to work. I got to pay these bills, right? And I think it's no disrespect to people who think that way, right? I think it's easy to get caught up in just living, right, and not thinking about these things. But it's very important that we think about these things because if we don't, other people will think about them for us. I can guarantee you, if you don't have a vision for your life, your boss does. I can guarantee you, if you don't have a vision for your life, somebody else out there will tell you what to do with your life. They'll be happy to do it and happy for you to be a servant to their needs, right? So I don't want that for you. I want you to have a life that you've designed and you've been intentional with. And one of the exercises that I personally do, and I've done this for several years, Taylor Pearson, he is at taylorpearson.me. I'll link to that in the show notes. He put me on game to this thing called the 25-year vision a couple of years ago. And it's an exercise that where if you, let's say, for example, present day, we zoom out 25 years, right? We zoom out and we say, we would ask ourselves this question: what has happened in my professional and personal life in order for me to feel successful? Now, immediately you probably go, 25 years, man, that's a long ass time. And 25 years is actually a great it's a great frame to get you to think expansively, right? So when people think about goals or vision, you probably heard them say, well, what do you want to do in the next year? What do you want to be in 3 years or 5 years? Where do you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? And while that's great, and I think goals are, I'm 100% like, if you have goals, that's cool. It's better than not having any goals at all. But if you use this 25-year vision framework, it allows you to, kind of think about a lot of things that could fit in that bucket. In 25 years, you could write a book, you could travel to multiple countries, you could have multiple careers, you could start multiple businesses, you could, retire depending on when you want to retire, right? There's a lot that you can do. And where most people make the mistake where they fall short of this is they trying to figure out the how. And they go, well, Vernon, well, I don't even know how to write a book, man. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. To which my response would be like, no, this is not a how-to exercise. It's a vision exercise. You got to think expansively. You got to think of, what's possible, right? It's not a how-to exercise. It's a dream exercise. The second one is that the vision is not big enough. Your vision should be something that scares the hell out of you. Specifically with this exercise, it should be ridiculous, unattainable, and you should probably feel like dumb saying it, right? Like, not calling you dumb, but like it should feel like ludicrous, right? You probably actually don't even want to tell people, right? That's probably a good indicator. If you feel like, ooh, I can't even share this, people will think I'm crazy. You're on the right track. I personally do this once every 2 years or so. And then I review my 25-year vision quarterly. Like, I'm actually probably due to review it right now. And I think that's a great exercise. Number 7. This one's hard for a lot of people, and I get it, man. I get why it's hard. It's hard because shit, like somebody do you wrong, you want revenge, baby. And we know we're living in a time where a lot of people, over the course of 10 years, 20 years, 40 years of your life, you're inevitably going to come across bad actors. You're going to come across people who are toxic. You're going to come across people who don't have your best interests in mind. They're going to try to manipulate you. They're going to try to take from you. That is just, unfortunately, part of being a human, right? And So your goal should be to have enough wisdom to identify and see these people, going back to the social skills, right? Like if you can understand when people are trying to manipulate you, trying to game you, gaslight you, then you can lean on this principle, and that's learning how to let go. In so many contexts, it's not just with people, but with experiences. Things that happen to you. There's so much trauma in the world that we can experience, and it can be devastating to people. It can be crippling. But if you don't find a way to work through that, it can really hold you back in life. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach, but I can tell you from experience, I've had to learn this skill, and it's a skill that I continue to have to learn. And I'm often reminded of this quote that one of my mentors, and coincidentally, he's my English teacher, football and lacrosse coach, shared a poem with me that's inscribed on Mother Teresa's childhood home in Calcutta, India, and it's just a beautiful reminder, and the most beautiful reminder that I've ever found on remembering to let go, and it's called Anyway. I want you to go check it out. I'm not going to share it here. I want you to go do the work because I don't want to give you all the gems, right? I want you to go out and experience it for yourself, and come back and comment on this podcast. Come back and tell us your experience. So let's review. Number one, document your memories. Life's going to come at you fast. You got to document it. You're probably not going to remember it when you're old. Trust me. Number two, move somewhere where you didn't grow up for at least 1 year, right? Build those social skills, build that adaptability, right? Your ability to rebuild. That's important. Number three, account for the mundane, right? Have your masogi, find a project. Number four, find a mentor. And number five. I skipped five. You can't skip. You can't go to six, Vernon. You got to go to five. Over-index on generosity. I can't tell you enough how important that is. Number six, have a life vision. Do the 25-year vision exercise. I'll link to that in the show notes here. And last but not least, learn to let go, baby. You don't got to be carrying all that baggage through life. Okay, so before we get out of here, a couple of things. If this video, this podcast, it resonated with you, I'd like you to do one of two things. I'd like you to find the last person in your cell phone that you've texted or called and say, hey, I have something for you. I have a gift I want to share with you. I think that's the most amazing thing that you can do. Or if you don't want to do that, that's okay. I get it. Hit that subscribe button so we can keep this kind of content in your feed. If you're liking this, if you're liking what you're seeing and you want some more of it, then why don't you just click that subscribe button, man? Yeah, click that subscribe button. We'll keep the good juju in your feed. My name is Vernon Foster, and this is the Attention Era. Peace.